Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Do you need any help, ma'am?
Ma'am? No, thanks.
You sure you don't need something?
I need $100 or I'm gonna get smacked. You got that?
Yes, I do. You can have it. You saved my life.
What are you doing with all that money?
We wanted to see a naked lady.
You know what? Why don't you take that money and go home before you get hurt, okay?
I wish I could, but it means a lot to my friends. And we just want to look.
How much looking?
As much as money could buy.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their lovely childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And today we covered one of Sweetie's, I would say, not favorite movies, but one you are fond of.
Just really like prostitutes.
Yes.
Sue me. Sue me. I just had like a weird like fascination with prostitutes, especially when I was little, because it was like, oh, sex. And like I had like a weird like also fascination with sex when I was little. And so this movie, I was like, oh my God.
Just like these
I was
guys.
like the little boys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I think we need to tell what the movie is.
the movie is about kids trying to get some money to buy milk at school.
Okay. Well, we missed the title.
Just
first
kidding.
Of all.
Oh. The movie is called
Milk Money. I think this is one that I think people have maybe seen it like once, but probably not in their like arsenal of good word favorite 90s movies. Made in 1994, starring Melanie Griffith, Melania. I was like, Melanie Griffith, Ed Harris.
And Haish.
Malcolm McDowell.
And some kids.
Yeah, and then a lot of unknowners. But I really like this movie.
You don't?
No, I did.
Oh. Yeah, I told you.
I really enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Much, like, way more than I really thought I was going to. It's kind of sweet. And, like, again, another plot where you're like, could probably not be made now. Like, sort of ridiculous
Weird,
and stupid and icky in, like, many ways. Yeah. But, I don't know. I really liked it.
Good. I'm glad to take you over to the dark side of the prostitute ring.
Yeah, no, I remember like being okay about it, but there's a lot of parts I didn't remember, like the whole car chase at the end was like very exciting. I didn't remember that at all.
Crazy.
And I have like such a soft spot in my heart for Melanie Griffith. I know a lot of people, and even like I at first was like, man, like is she a good actress? But then I realized I just really like her. I mean,
who said she's not a good actress? I'll kick their ass.
Well,
who was it? Who was it? Tell me the name.
No,
Tell me.
I think like she is. I would say Melanie Griffith is typecast as a role that is someone who presents as dumb, and then everyone realizes, oh, she's actually smart. So she's like the basically 3 main movies I've ever seen her in. That's like who she plays,
which are
so Milk Money, Working Girl, and then Born Yesterday, which is the remake of like the old one. Do you ever see that?
No.
I'll speak about that more later.
What about
because it,
Now
like,
and
scarred
Then?
me. Oh, Now and Then too. Yeah. So it's like,
what about I had another one. It's gone.
But she always plays those roles.
Yeah, she does.
And that like must suck for her. Do you think like someday she wakes up and she's like, I just want to play a fucking nuclear physicist?
I know her daughter's in 50 Shades of Grey franchise, so woo.
No, I know. But
going.
Working Girl is one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time.
Me
So
too.
I always hold such a soft, warm,
You
love
got a
you.
soft spot. You gotta wear a helmet, you get a soft spot.
Yeah. Melanie Griffith in my heart. I know she's had a lot of problems in her personal life, but I just like her.
Well, funny side point is, so I always thought that Working Girl was about prostitutes because I was like, oh, working girl, prostitute. Which I think I confused it with like sex worker, working girl. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely
But
thought that too.
It's funny because she is a prostitute in this, so I got it right at some point. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, so we'll get into the plot.
Yeah.
Still weird. It's fine.
That's
right.
fine.
I'm just gonna go with
Fine.
it.
It's the 90s. Everything goes. Everything goes.
Flow. Going with the flow.
Are we just doing it now?
Yeah. Let's do it.
It's the sweetie synopsis. Yeah, sweeties.
Frank, Kevin, and Brad.
Yes.
Okay.
Good one.
All right.
You good. You really good.
Want one thing in life. That one thing they want, they crave so dear, is to see a grown woman naked.
Time out.
Yes, Zach Morris. Tell me now. What?
Okay, so part of me wants to like rail against this movie because I'm like, boys, get over boobs. Like, not a big deal. And I just like wish like they would just get over it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like such a drive for men, that whole thing. And I just want to be like, I mean, I know it's biological and I know like we can't do anything about that. That's like how humanity and whatever works. But it's unfair because women don't have like an equal thing of that. There's nothing that girls are like, okay, I need to like see something from men, or like that like objectifying of men that is what has made like men be able to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Women like really, and like girls like that, like, I mean, not all girls, let's say, but like just want like, oh, like your first kiss, or you want like your first crush, and like these kids are, and still we are totally unclear of how old they are obsessed with seeing boobs. And again, I'm just gonna say, get over
They're
boobs.
just very fascinated. They're very fascinated by sex and everything that comes with it. That they're
because it's like taboo.
Because they just don't know. It's like they're at that age where they're like going through puberty and like they're just unsure about things. Girls barely ever talk to them, so it's all new, and they just want to see what, only porn they have is like weird soft core porn where you don't see anything.
Right.
And
I just
don't
feel
know.
like that should be dealt with so much better.
Well, sure, it's
in
like
American
everything
society.
in life. Like if we talked about things out in the open, like if we talked about like shitting all the time, it wouldn't be such like a taboo thing, for instance.
I know. Okay.
Or mental illness.
Go ahead.
Or
Go on with the plot. This is
anything
just
else.
my like
Okay.
initial thoughts
All
on
right. Okay.
boobs
Anyways.
and little boys.
So
Okay.
they want to see a naked woman so bad. So they get an idea. They pool all their money together. They say, let's go to the city. We'll find a prostitute. And we'll pay her $100 to show us her boob, or like to get naked, and so we can look at her. So they get on their bikes and they go to the city, where this guy's like, oh, I can take you to the prostitutes, like super shady. Brings them to a parking garage. Ooh, bad. It's a bad sign. And then holds them up with a gun. Meanwhile,
I love
Melanie,
that scene when like the little kids are like, wait, why would there be naked ladies in a parking garage? Like, wake up.
yeah.
I know you grew up in the burbs, but come
This was a Lifetime
on.
movie. It would have ended in a very different way. One of the
It's-
kids would have died
honestly-
and gotten molested, and then, oh wait, that's Mystic River.
This movie is exactly why I will never raise kids in the suburbs. Like idiots.
You'd rather raise them in the city where these guys are just around all the time.
They were going up to business women in suits being like, are you a prostitute? Will you take your clothes off for money?
Well, wherever they lived was a weird, like,
it
pseudo
was weird.
town anyway.
It was like, was that movie Pleasantville?
It was like Pleasantville / The Truman Show, like weird, old-timey
True.
things.
I forgot about that.
Okay, so the guy's holding up in the parking garage. Melanie Griffith, meanwhile, is with a client, an old gross man in a limo, feeding him strawberries, which always grossed me the fuck out when I was little. I was always like, ugh, is that what being a prostitute is? You have to have sex with gross, bald old men?
Well, every movie, that's how they depict prostitutes.
I know.
I don't know if you remember, like, Pretty Woman. That's, like, the exact scene.
yeah.
She's, like, in a parking garage in a limo, I'm pretty sure, with some old dude, remember?
Sure you didn't confuse
Wait,
it
is
with
that
this
movie? No, there is. No. There is. That is a scene in Pretty Woman. I know it. I know it. Yeah. No, it is. I'm thinking of it. It's similar but different.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. See about that.
Let's cover that one.
So the old man's like, oh my God, he's got a gun, because the guy's holding the kids up outside. So Melanie Griffith saves the day and opens the car door and hits the guy in the head, knocks him out, throws the gun away. Is like, you kids okay? And they're like, yeah, wow, pretty girl, pretty girl, pretty girl. And then the old man's like, let's get out of here, and fucking drives off and leaves them all in the lurch. So, you know, she's kind of upset. She's supposed to get her money to give her pimp. She doesn't have it. She's going to be in trouble. Sweet little Frank, who's like so curious about everything, so sweet, is like, can we help you with anything? She's like, yeah, I need $100. He's like, I got $100. He pulls out his bag of change.
I think you should talk a little bit about Frank first, because
Well,
he's the central.
Yeah, so Frank's the central character. He's super sweet. He looks about 3 years younger than the rest of his friends. So he looks like 7 years old. And I'm sure he's supposed to be like 11, 12 or something. But he's super sweet. His dad is Ed Harris. His mom died when she was having him. Sad. So he doesn't have a mom. But he's doing great. He's really taking care of things. The beginning scene is doing laundry. He likes
So mature.
he likes to read Cosmo, just try to find out about women. He's just so dear. He's so
He
cute.
just has never had a woman in his life. It's always just been him and his dad. So he's really like intrigued about not only the sexual aspect of it, but just about having a mom and stuff like that.
It's true.
But deep down, Frank is like such a little gentleman
He's such a
because
gentleman.
when you can get to this part.
I
yet.
didn't get
Yeah.
to that part yet because you told me to go back to Frank.
Yeah.
God, you're so bossy. She's bossy. So they give her the $100. She's like, all right, I'll let you look at my boobs. So she takes them to her seedy like apartment, and they go in her room, and she takes off her shirt. It's awkward. They turn off the lights, and there's like this weird like red light on. But little Frank closes his eyes because he wants to be a gentleman. He has change of heart at the last minute. But the other two guys look at her boobs, and then it's like, how long was that scene? Probably like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She showed her boobs. She's like, okay, time's up, and then that's it.
If that's how I could make
So-
$10, I would do that in a second.
So she goes back to her pimp, and he's pissed because she brought back a bag of change, which, like, hello, go to a bank and change it over.
That
Like,
was weird.
hello. So he's pissed. She's pissed at him. He leaves to go do like a drug deal. She steals his car, sees the kids out stuck in the rain. So she's like, hey, you need a ride home? So she brings them all the way home. Really nice. She's like, wow, you live in this idyllic town? Like, so, like we said, Pleasantville. Just like sidewalks, women with all these babies. Why does everybody have 5 babies is what I want to know.
Every woman is dressed like out of the 50s in these weird little like dresses with like crazy collars. Everyone has pearls.
Yeah, I want pearls.
White picket fences, adorable houses, tree houses. It's like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
V, the prostitute, has never seen.
She's never seen it. She's entranced. She lets the kids off. She lets Frank off. Is like, it's nice to meet you. You're a great You're such a gentleman. She really likes him. She feels a fondness for Frank. She goes to leave, but the car won't start. So she's like, fuck. Uses the phone in Frank's house. Ed Harris comes home. Is like, who is this? And Frank's like, it's Kevin's math tutor. Like, her car wouldn't start. So I let her use the phone, which is the lie that kind of permeates throughout the rest of the film, kind of. So Ed Harris is like super into her. Obviously, she's like this hot blonde in this tiny dress, in his house, like high heels, hot bod. Like he's obsessed. So what happens?
But he did like her personality too, because they end up finding out they have a lot in common.
Yeah. So like, yeah, definitely. But now I'm blanking on what happened next.
Okay, so blah blah. It kind of goes like in and out.
She sleeps in the treehouse.
Yeah, sleeps. So Frank is like, you can sleep in the treehouse and you can stay here, but you can't tell my dad. You're sleeping in the treehouse. You can't come to the house unless he's gone for work. Like blah blah blah. So Frank is scheming. Like he really wants V and his dad to get together. So he's kind of like matchmaking on the side. So then, they go on a date.
Okay. Yeah.
And they end up like strolling the streets of this like cute little town. Ed Harris is wearing this like adorable seersucker suit that like totally out of place. You're like, why do you have a seersucker suit? That's weird. V is now wearing the dead mother's clothes, which are all in the attic.
They've
Creeps.
held onto
Yeah.
and that are like 10 years old.
12 years old.
12 years old if he's 12.
Yeah,
We're not
creeps. But they fit her perfectly. So they go on this great date and they find out they have like a lot in common. They like make out, and then they are walking to the restaurant and they run into one of V's former clients, who ends up being one of Frank's friends' dad.
Kevin's dad. Which, and we should say that Frank told V that he told his dad the truth that she was a prostitute. And she's like, oh, and he was okay with it? And Frank was like, yeah, he was fine with it, which was a total lie. He didn't tell him that. His dad still thinks she's a math tutor.
Right. So V thinks that his dad is totally understanding that she's a prostitute and accepts her for who she is. Frank's dad thinks she's a math tutor. So Frank's dad introduces her as a math tutor, and she puts 2 and 2 together, and she's like, crap, this guy only likes me because like I'm this a normal person to him, let's say, like not a prostitute. She flips out and like leaves, like storms off, and then they have kind of like a crazy discussion in the treehouse where she tells him I'm a prostitute, like reveals the whole thing, blah blah blah.
He freaks out.
Obviously. Frank gets wind of it, gets really upset. He like knows his whole plan is like shot to shit. But then I guess they see Frank crying, and then they like make up.
They're like, oh no, he's sad.
And she's like, I've never had someone look at me the way you did, like blah blah blah. So they realize they do have like super strong feelings for each other. Frank's dad has like never been with another woman since his mom died, or his wife died. V has never been treated by anyone as a person. She's always been objectified and treated, like she says, like a hooker. So they end up having like a lovely romantic evening, probably bone in the treehouse, which is like kind of gross, but let's go with it. It's romantic. Wake up, they're all cuddling in the morning. Frank sees them. It's like his plan is working. But he's so psyched. But won't not for long, because what happens?
Because nothing ever goes great for good in these movies. There's always a conflict, right? So the conflict is that her former pimp was killed by this really meaner pimp named who was already a jackass.
There's 3 levels of pimps,
and even
in this
more
movie.
jackass named Walter, played by Malcolm McDowell, with a weird like Australian accent, but is British. We're not sure what happened there. He's pissed that this guy like took his money, so he killed the old pimp, and then is off to find V for some reason. Oh, because she took the car, and there's money in the car, which she does not know about. So they go off to the town to find V, and then she sees him in the store one day, flips out. It's like, I got to get out of here. She
really tries to run so many times. Like, it's kind of mean.
So she's like at the train station. She sees this locket that she gave to Frank. She's like, oh, Frank, I miss Frank. So she goes back to where there's a dance. Meanwhile, Ed Harris has been trying to fix the car because it won't start. He finally figures out why it won't start. And it's because all the money was hidden in like the fuel line or something. The gas tank. Okay, yeah. And so that's why it wouldn't start. Yeah. So he's like, V, I figured it out. And then doesn't see anyone. He's like, oh, they must be at the dance. So he takes off for the dance. Everybody's at the dance, including asshole pimp Walter.
Yes. Walter tracks them to the dance.
Yeah. Kevin's dad like makes a scene, calls V like a slut. Very uncalled for. He gets in a fight with Ed Harris, and then Malcolm comes in. Malcolm McDowell. Walter comes in with a gun. Is like, come with me to V, and like takes her outside. The kids have a plan to save her. The plan is get the car, drive it, and pick up V and speed off. Even though none of them can drive,
they can't
or
even
can reach the pedals.
I mean, this is the part I did not remember. So then they go on this like harrowing car ride through the center of town. There's railroad tracks involved, a train, like it would have been, I mean, it could have been 2 seconds. They could have pulled over. They could have had someone who was tall enough to drive V take over, and it would have been fine. But no, the little kids, one kid's working the pedals, the other one's steering. The steering wheel flies off. Like all this shit like suddenly happens to the car, and then they have to like speed over these train tracks, narrowly missing a speeding train that is like flying through the town.
Mm-hmm. And then the car catches on fire and explodes. They all get out, but it explodes.
Everyone's fine.
So they needed to do that because they needed a way for Walter to think that the money exploded with the car, and that like he's not really needed there anymore if the money's gone. So as the car is exploding, V takes the moment to run away again. She goes back to the city, is like all sad and crying. She's like packing up her bags. I don't know where she was going to go. She didn't have any money. She stole $50 from Ed Harris, but like that probably only got her the train ticket to get back to the city. So I don't know what she was thinking. So she opens the backpack, which she took with her from the car finally. And inside is all the money. So she's like, yay, money. goes back to town, buys this like little piece of land that Ed Harris was trying to save because he's like a science teacher and is obsessed with these like wetlands. And they're about to be like bulldozed to make condos or something. So she surprises them and like buys the wetlands and puts Ed Harris's name on it, buys herself a little car, and she buys the little ice cream shop in town. So she's going to be there forever. So hopefully her and Ed Harris, like, get married and Frank's dreams come true.
Well, I gotta say, I love that ending, and I didn't remember that that's how it ended, where it was just like, it wasn't happy ending. It was super open ended, and she just like was like, you know what, like I'm gonna start my life here, and like I know you guys live here, like I really like your dad, but like I have my own car, I have my own business now, like I'm gonna make this work.
Do it.
And I was so happy about that ending.
Wow.
For some reason, I thought it was just like her buying the wetlands and then them just like kissing and that was it. That's all I remembered. I didn't remember her like showing up with like the sick car and being like, oh hey, by the way, like I bought the ice cream shop, like I'll buy you a cone sometime, see you later. Like that was great.
Yeah. Wow, you're like a really big fan of this movie.
No, I honestly maybe have only seen it once or twice. So in the scheme of that, it's been around for, what did we say, 24 years or something, 23 years, I'm like
you're making up for last time.
Yes. I'm proud of this. And if you read the IMDb reviews, people like hate this movie.
What?
They're like, this plot is the worst.
Jackasses.
Like,
okay, yeah. So it's a little weird because why? I mean, like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you pay money. These like, it's kind of gross that this grown woman is showing these 12-year-old kids her boobs.
well, it's the hooker with a heart of gold thing that people have are like, first of all, old plot. Like that's so overdone. Sorry,
Hookers do not have hearts of gold. It is a lie. No,
they always do, and that's like the sad thing. Like that's a stupid plot. They really don't. Like if you're a hooker, you're at like probably your bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it's no Julia
you're
Roberts.
Desperate and sad.
Yeah.
So I don't know why like Hollywood is like obsessed with romancing prostitutes. As you have just said, you like love prostitutes. Like you should not love prostitutes.
It's because of this.
I know.
And Pretty Woman. And I saw a prostitute like for reals, and I was in a bar one time. It wasn't as glamorous as that. She was wearing this weird shawl. It was like, why is she wearing that shawl? It's pretty ugly. It does not go with her outfit. It was super
That's
awkward.
all you
though.
had to think.
Well, it was just gross. Yeah, and then she met this. The reason we knew it was a prostitute was because she met this guy and they shook hands. She was like, "Hi, nice to meet you." And then she immediately started like touching him like she had known him forever. And
What if
like,
it was a date?
What? No, and then they went up like stairs, so it wasn't. It's like
It went
It was a
upstairs
prostitute.
to where?
Oh, we were in a hotel. We were like in a hotel bar.
I mean, I would love to see that. I think it would be.
I mean, it was one of like the top 10 most exciting moments in my life, to be honest. But it was a little scary.
Straight talk question right now.
Oh,
Ready?
yes.
Do you think you could be a prostitute?
No way.
Okay.
No, I get like the heat. I get scared.
I think I could be a prostitute.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, I mean, if you think of, like the high-end call girls, like that doesn't seem so bad. It's very safe. Like the street prostitutes, not so safe.
No, that's the thing. And
but
like,
yeah,
I would not be that, but I think I could definitely be an escort. Like I would be fine with that.
Okay.
Because basically that's online dating. But I'm cheap.
okay.
But you don't get paid.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. You're wasting your talents.
Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, it is a little improbable that I don't know, it's just funny the way she like waltzes around town in her little like tiny orange dress, like it's like the one outfit she has, and people are just like, oh my god, who is that tramp? And it is sad that like you get treated in such a way when you dress a certain way, and just that stereotype. I wrote down the real message is people are nice to you when you don't dress slutty. And it's true, you guys. Don't dress slutty. But if you want, because women power.
Well, that's the thing. So it's like, who cares? Like, people need to get over shit. People need to think about their own lives and stop worrying about everybody else and look straight ahead and stop gawking. Yeah. I mean, prostitution is a weird situation, right? Because you're like, okay, like women have that power, but we've never been able to harness it because like men want it and they will pay for it. But like those women get treated so horribly. And in this movie, it's like three levels of pimp in this. So V gets $100 every time she has sex with somebody. So if there's that many levels of pimp above her, like how much money is she? What is she making? $20 to have sex with somebody? I mean, that is shitty. She's doing all of the work.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So like that whole scheme just like totally blows. And I was just thinking like, well, like I just like if you're just a prostitute in business for yourself and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna like go up to people. But I guess you need that like network of. I mean, this is me trying to work out like how prostitution works,
Not
and it's
necessarily.
not pretty.
Well, you should watch that show I watched on Showtime, the Confession or Diary of a Call Girl, London Call Girl, or whatever. It was very fascinating.
Yeah.
And if you do freelance, then you do make so much more money.
No, I watched some of that show.
But you do.
But the pimp scheme, like, why would you ever get involved in that? That's basically like slavery.
That's like street prostitute. I mean, that's just how, I don't know, because you're protected. Like nobody can mess with you, even though they can mess with you. But like, I don't know.
In cities, there must be like zones or like those
like your
pimps have
territory and like
I mean, this is all my knowledge from like Pretty Woman, so I don't know.
Which is not. It was like a fluff. PB fluff
so,
version.
Like I don't know. And then there's like those like what do you call it? Like a madam. So there are women-owned ones.
Yeah, that's what the call girl.
Yeah,
like,
but they're not like really. I mean, are they any better than? Yeah,
well,
right.
They don't like abuse you and like rape you.
Yeah,
if they like want to. I don't know.
I mean, it's just like a fucking dicey thing. And I remember when like I don't know something was coming about whether like make prostitution legal, and that would like take care of like the. Help clean it up because you could regulate it and being like, why are we like so buttoned up about sex here? Like if people want to pay for sex, they're adults, they should be able to, and it shouldn't be illegal. If you're consenting to it, then also it should be the same way. So why isn't like a regulated business? And then you could have like, just kind of like with everything you finally regulate, whether it's like pot or abortion or whatever, like all the like horrible things that are involved with that can be diminished if you make it legal and you like kind of regulate it like I said. But obviously prostitution, we're like so far away from that if that is ever going to happen.
Probably not,
because we have such a stigma with sex here and it's just obnoxious. And this movie like only highlights that. It's just like what I wanted to say. Soapbox stepping off. Dunk.
Thank you, sweetie, thank you. But yeah, V, I mean, it's unrealistic. I don't know any prostitutes that are like, let me borrow $50 and be like, write a note and be like, I owe you $50. Like, instead of just stealing it and leaving.
Heart of gold.
Yeah, she's got a real heart of gold.
Isn't that interesting? Her locket, gold. It was a heart.
Heart of gold.
Heavy-handed.
That's awesome.
I know.
Wow.
I just like that.
Double meaning, just like the title, Milk Money. Yeah. Which is like boobs. Milk in the boobs, right?
Oh,
like,
my God.
Oh, what did you think it was?
Well, the milk, so they use like milk money to pay for her.
They did? Oh, that was when I was getting dinner. Damn it, I missed that.
Well, they do like a bunch of things. So they sell like their comic books, but like
what was the thing where they were like, one at a time? Like,
so the cool kid, so the cool friend Brad has this like leather jacket, this like greaser leather jacket. Again, wait, what was the movie where people were greasers and we're like, why are there greasers?
Well, in Can't Buy Me Love, his friend, one of the friends is randomly a greaser.
That's like a thing. So
and like, then Rudy and the Monster Squad, greaser.
Okay. But this is like 10 years later, and the greaser is like still the cool kid, and we're like, when is it gonna end? When is Danny Zuko not gonna be cool? I think that's hopefully now. Anyway, so it's like his friend Brad has like this leather jacket, which is way too big for him. And he's also like somehow the coolest kid in the school. So they have these little like girls lined up in the middle school to try on the jacket for like half a millisecond, and they each pay 50 cents or their milk money for it.
What? Like, no, he wasn't was he a popular guy?
That's what was confusing with me.
I thought the whole thing was that girls wouldn't talk to them.
Yes.
So it was...
No, everyone like liked Brad, and like that leather jacket was like
he
the
could see boobs
thing.
if he wanted to.
It was that whole friend dynamic was weird because you had Frank, who's just like little and tiny, really sweet, but like just not taken seriously. Brad, who was like the cool friend, and then the dorky friend with like the OCD, like when wore like weird gloves and shit.
Like, I mean, he has certainly a character arc. When he finds out
so deep,
when he finds out his dad has slept with a prostitute, he like totally changes his attitude and it's like, I'm not gonna like clean for my dad anymore. My dad's like an asshole, so he just decides not to shower, and then it's pretty great. So I appreciate Kevin by the end. Totally, yeah. But yeah, V, nice prostitute. She's a nice prostitute.
Oh yeah, you took like no notes. I took like 5 pages of notes. I have so much.
Oh my god, Sweetie's like, and then in the 1980s, prostitute became.
I really need to like write a paper on prostitution. I think it's just fascinating. Anyway, so I mean, I should just like read through my notes. I have so much. So first of all, I want to say that little kids named Frank are adorable. I just love that like old fashioned like crotchety old man really name cute. That are like for little kids are adorable. Sure. I want to name my baby Frank. I think that would be adorable.
Do you have other names in mind that are old?
I've thought of them. Like when they've come up, I've been like, oh God, that is fucking cute. When you see like a little baby and it's like this old fashioned old man name and you're like, God, gets me. Number two. Who is this movie for?
I mean, initially, I think it's for young kids who are like thinking they're watching like a risque movie, but not like tricking them and like, haha, it's actually a romance. I don't know.
But with the parents, because there's so obviously around it being about a hooker, there's so many sexual innuendos and stuff that would be so far over like kids' head. Like I'm just going to throw out the one that's about the female orgasm. So Frank is little kid is reading this magazine, Cosmo, and he's like asked his dad, like, Cosmo said there's a spot on a woman that
will make them go crazy.
That will make them go crazy if you like touch it or whatever like that. It. Yeah, if you find it. So obviously they're talking about like G-spot or like clitoral massage, if you will. So like that kind of stuff. So then, so that's kind of like a running thing, and he like keeps asking that and whatever. And there's this hilarious line where, and I wrote this down. He asked V about it, and she's like, "Do you think I'll?" Yeah. So, like gives him like basically quotes that same thing, like, oh, like I've heard that there's a spot in a woman that can drive her absolutely mad, and she answers back, don't count on it. Like don't count on finding it, which is so true because that's like such a thing, right? That like men like don't know what they're doing, blah, 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 and like never like are worried about like pleasuring women and stuff like that. But then at the end that circles around to that theme again, and they use it as like, oh, Frank, like you are right. There is one place on a woman that you can touch her that you'll drive her completely mad. It's her heart. So that's like kind of adorable. Yeah. But then there's all this kind of weird talk about like once, when they are in that confusion kind of part where Frank's dad thinks she's a math tutor and she thinks he knows that she's a prostitute. So they're talking, he's like using very like open-ended terms about basically like how he's helping Frank study for math, and she thinks he's talking about having her like help Frank learn about sex. Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't like had to use it in a while, so I'm not the best teacher.
So there's all that.
She's like, why not?
And I was trying to like think of the word for that.
Who is like, I haven't had to use math? Like, who says that? Who's just like, I'm bad? Why wouldn't he just be like, I'm bad at math because I'm a science? Like, wait, but if he's a science teacher, wouldn't he be? Don't you like? You still use math and science?
Oh yeah, totally. But I mean, this was rated PG-13, so I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
So it was not a kids movie. So I'm like, why did we watch this?
That's probably why it didn't do well, though, because I think the kid emphasis was like too strong for it to not be a kids movie, and then the adult stuff was too strong for it to be a kids movie. So I don't think there was really an audience for this. So maybe that's why people don't respond well to it. Just a thought. I
mean, if this came out now, like I would say this would be like a kind of sweet date movie. Like you obviously would not take your children to this, but like I think this could be like you go see it on like a couple
be like,
or older, like, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's interesting conundrum.
I was 11 years old when this came out.
Oh.
So crazy.
Wow.
Next up, my favorite segment, Where'd You Go? ... Where'd you go? Anne Heche. Where did Anne Heche go?
Pretty sure she had a crazy meltdown. Yeah. And she has like a split personality and thinks that she's...
Was that after the Ellen breakup? Let's remember that.
I think so.
Yeah. So Anne Heche is in this as a fellow prostitute. Is kind of ditzy. She's just dumb. She doesn't really do anything.
I'm confused about her role. Yeah. Like she's just like... Whoever the pimp in charge of the day is, like she needs to like go along with them and do whatever, and she answers the phone calls.
Yeah. She's basically like brain dead also, and she's brunette, which is totally throws you off because you like only ever see her as like a blonde with like a pixie cut. But anyway, so she's in this, and I mean, Anne Heche like had her day in the 90s though, so it would have been only a couple years after this. Remember, she was
when we saw 6
dating
Days,
Ellen.
7 Nights in the drive-in?
I love that movie. I want to watch it. That's the one with Harrison Ford, and they like don't get along, and they crash on the island, but then they like end up falling in love.
It's like pirates.
But like, what else was she in? Why do I'm like missing her?
She's in that TV show that mom was obsessed with, like
What?
Men in Trees or something. But yeah, she had like a meltdown, and like some people thought that like she had like dual personalities, and like she only went out with Ellen because like her dual like lesbian personality like came through, and then so I don't know,
or like fame whore.
She might be going through some things. Probably still is my thought about her. But I think she was pretty funny in this though.
No,
she had
she's
some good funny lines.
Yeah, honestly. Where'd you go? Miss you. Hope you're okay, Anne Heche.
Where
Hope you're
did
okay.
you go? And Heche.
Next up, let's talk about Melanie Griffith's legs.
Oh, okay. They're very nice. She's got nice stems. Where you going? She needs her wine. Oh my God, you guys, we forgot to talk about how we reached 1,000 followers and we're celebrating the way we usually do. Oh, that's at the end. Stay tuned for that later. So yeah, her legs.
Yeah, I do not have nice legs.
Why? I think you do.
My legs
don't
are
sell
short
yourself
and
short.
they're top heavy. But
What's wrong with that? Beyonce has big thighs and she's
muscular quads.
So does Beyonce.
Yeah,
You're in good company.
No. I think they're fine. But like I think like when with nice legs, because I don't have them, I'm always like when I like see them, I'm like because I remember like Baby Boom, I was like whoa, nice legs, and like maybe it was like Goldie Hawn.
Confusing nice with like skinny legs.
Yes,
I don't think that's nice.
a nice leg.
They're skinny. They're like toothpicks. We're like, ugh.
No, I think that is like I think that is a nice leg. But she has in general like a very sick, awesome body in this. I mean, if you're talking about like very thin and with nice boobs, I guess.
They're very round. They're like the perfect like round shape.
Yeah, and I remember in Working Girl she had like super nice gams too. Because remember, like she in Working Girl, she has like kind of on the like dowdy, gross like 80s clothing at first, and then when she starts putting on the nice clothing of her boss, you realize like what a nice body she has and stuff. But yeah, Melanie Griffith, like I was trying to figure out like how old she was in this movie. She like late 30s, I think, because she's born in 57, so she's like a couple years younger than our mom Carol. And so like in
Let's not tell everybody how old Carol is. Sorry, Carol. Give her phone number away. Tell everybody.
So
your
in
age.
97, she would have been 40. So this was like,
Oh, wow.
So she's like, how old I am now. Oh my God, that's sad.
She's great.
Yeah. So she looks awesome. And yeah, go Melanie Griffith. And then I think she kind of has had since a lot of work done.
Oh, well.
But I'm fascinated about Melanie Griffith's life. So I was reading like a lot about it. Yeah. So as I think maybe many people know, Melanie Griffith's mother is Tippi Hedren, who was one of the Hitchcock blondes in The Birds, and also Marnie. Yeah. So that has been like a tumultuous, and they've told many stories about like Hitchcock's like obsession with her. They've made like a couple movies, I think, of it. She was just like a gorgeous woman. So then her daughter, obviously Melanie Griffith, and then I think like she's always been like a celebrity for a while and has dated celebrities. So she was first married to Don Johnson, if you remember. They met when she was 14. He was 22. Wait, I wrote this down. What? Yep. And because he was a co-star of her in one of her mom's movies.
Whoa.
So then that was her first marriage, and they didn't like marry for
when
that
she was
long.
14?
No, it was like whatever, like a couple years later. But like that's when they met and started dating.
Wow.
I mean, that's 8 years. Yeah. Like, and when you're that's statch right there.
Yeah.
And so then they did marry, but then they divorced, and then she like married somebody else, and then that lasted
Antonio
for a little
Banderas?
bit. No. That lasted for a little bit, and then she married Don Johnson again. What? So it's one of those crazy things where you like get married, divorce, you're with someone else, you get married, divorce, then you hook back that. And that's when she had Dakota Johnson in 1989. And then they were, again, like super tumultuous, like were married for a couple years. And then like the year that they divorced, she met Antonio Banderas. He was married. They met on like a movie set. And then he eventually got like divorced from his wife, and then they were married for the longest amount of time, just divorcing in 2016.
Oh yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
being sad. I remember feeling sad about it.
Yep. So she's had like a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol and painkillers and like all this stuff. So I think she's okay now, but she's had like tons of ups and downs. But very fascinating, like, and just so much celebrity, right? Because like her mom was this huge celebrity, she became a huge celebrity. Her daughter is now a pretty big celebrity. Like,
Yeah.
it's
a cycle.
It's a huge
Circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. At one point, I thought you were like reading text messages or something, and you weren't, and that you weren't paying attention. And like looked over to like yell at you, and then I saw like Melanie Griffith's like Wikipedia page, and I was like, "Are you reading about Melanie Griffith?" You're like, "I am. She's so fascinating."
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, I love her. I like her. I like her a lot. What else you got? What else you got?
So it's interesting watching this now. If anyone is a fan of Westworld, which is the latest project that Ed Harris is in,
Well, the HBO's latest like big TV show,
but also the last thing you would have seen Ed Harris in. Yeah, and and I love Ed Harris. I think he is like phenomenal. When
Ed has no hairs.
when he was like on Westworld, or when he appeared on Westworld, once I like found he was in that, I was like, damn, I miss that guy. Like, he's so good looking. He's probably one of the only like good looking bald guy. Not only, okay, sorry, that is not true, but like a very good looking bald guy, let's say. And he's like the sweetest face. He's like a great smile. Not like a super tall guy or anything like that, but just like really like made his career like awesome. And I remember last month I watched The Rock for the first time. You know Ed Harris is in that?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
As the bad guy, but you like kind of like can't hate him.
Wait, is The Rock Alcatraz?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
So Sean Connery is in that. Nicolas Cage.
Sometimes I get confused.
Yeah. Really like missed that movie.
Did The
in
Rock
90s.
take his name from that movie?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But no, yeah, but it's funny because he's so like nerdy in this and
Yeah.
like puny and like not like the Ed Harris we saw in Westworld, which we just watched. So it was alarming a little bit.
Right. And really like so old. I feel like Ed Harris like peak awesomeness was the 90s. Like that was
Another
the
90,
time.
yeah.
So, and that's like when I remember him, and I know there's like a bunch of other movies, I can't name them now.
Truman
but, like,
Show, Apollo
yes.
13.
Oh my God, yes.
all these flicks.
He's so good.
Pollock.
Pollock. Oh my God, racist. Yeah.
It stumps me in my head every
So
time.
that's why, like, when I saw him when he like first appeared in Westworld, as
Beautiful
like
Mind.
the
Oh my
man
God.
in black, yeah.
I'm just gonna keep saying that.
I was just like, oh my God, shit! Like, I haven't seen Ed Harris since like 1999. Where has he been? Number one, and also like, fuck, he is.
He was doing a lot of stuff, but we just
I'm
didn't
sure.
see it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But I will to this day, like, amazing, good-looking guy, great actor, like tons of versatility, but always likable. I think even when he's like a not like you're supposed to not like him, it's very hard.
True. Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I watched the Truman Show lately, and I kind of hated him in that. And I was like, God, just let him go.
What is his role in
He's
that?
the creator. He's like some like dipshit name, like Emile or something, and he's like sits in the moon, and like I don't know. It's chaotic, but yeah, love that Ed, love that Eddie. Anything else?
Anyway,
Is
so
that
good.
what you got? One more?
No, I'm still going. This is like just basically my own podcast, and you're just like seeing what's inside my head as I'm watching.
Okay,
these.
spit it out.
So there's this one scene. Okay, I'm talking about two like main scenes here. One scene where she like gets a bike and is like in her prostitute outfit and in like heels and like riding this like old school like what is that called? Cruiser. She's driving like an old school cruiser bike, and it just made me think like, because I feel like there's so many movies where there's like inappropriate outfits. People have inappropriate outfits and then jump on a bike and are like, oh, I'm totally fine. I can like bike in this outfit. I just want to do that like once in my life. I want to wear like a prostitute get up and jump on a bike and like see if it can happen.
All right, Halloween goals next year. Melanie Griffith as a prostitute on a
But
bicycle.
don't you feel like that happens all the time in movies? You're like, there's no way to be able to
like,
bike
why,
in that.
how's your crotch not like? Why isn't everybody like, oh, my eyes?
And your like boobs falling over the handlebars. I mean, there's so much going on
It's just
there.
like uncomfortable.
And,
Yeah,
like biking in high heels.
Yeah.
I remember watching, just like as I'm commuting to work, walking, and I would see girls like biking in high heels, and I was like, "You are amazing! Like that's awesome.
Wow.
That was probably dangerous."
yeah. Yikes!
Someday.
I have something.
Bike goals.
So, like, remember milk money, though?
Yes.
So, I don't know if everybody else's school was like this, but so every morning in elementary school, the teacher would, like, get those zipper, like, plastic zipper money bags, like the big bags. Like, you get them at, like, the bank, those bags. And she'd be like, okay, like, how many people are getting milk today? And you'd, like, raise your hand, and she'd, like, write your name down.
Let's remember how much it was.
Okay, so milk cost 10 cents when we were in elementary school, right? Not 20.
You know when I buy milk now at my work?
A dime. It was
we have
a
this
dime.
like weird, like kind of, it's not a cafeteria, but like it's all this stuff with refrigerators and you have to check it out yourself. So it's like honor system, sort of. Anyway, the milk is like so much money. You get like way more than a carton, but like, what the fuck? I want those days back. A dime? You can't buy anything for a dime now. What can you buy for a dime? And also, what do you think milk is now at public schools?
Probably like $1.
What?
Maybe
for
more.
A carton?
Probably. But did you always get chocolate milk or did you get regular milk?
I never got chocolate.
Oh, really?
I thought it tasted like dirt.
It did, but I like it was the cool thing to get. So I think I just got like conned into getting it because I felt like everybody else was getting it.
I thought we were on the same page with that.
I mean, I think at first, but then when I got a little older, I got.
You're
Okay,
a lemming.
perfect example of, yes, that I was. One time in art class, Malia Romavikas was like, Andre, like, would you rather watch MTV or Barney? And, like, in my head, I was like, oh, my mom doesn't let me watch MTV, but, like, I can't, like, admit that. I'll be a loser. So I was like, MTV, obviously.
Mom didn't let you watch MTV?
I don't think so. I remember there was one time when she called and I was watching, like, No Doubt, like, Just a Girl on MTV or something. And she's like, is that MTV in the background? And I was like, no.
I had no rules at all. I'm sad you had
Because you were so good that you didn't do anything bad.
That's true.
I didn't do anything bad, but I don't know. I think they thought Liz was a bad influence on me or something. Wow. No, I'm just kidding. Wow. But yeah.
Shocked.
Pretty funny. Pretty funny. I'm a lemming. Yep, that's me.
Sad. Yeah, no, I never liked, I don't know, for some reason I hated I didn't any flavored milk. And then the poor kids who got skim, you were like, why?
Oh, in the light blue container?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, like the milk one was red. Chocolate was obviously brown. And then light blue was a skim.
And I remember we would use the milk cartons to make gingerbread houses.
Yes! God, I love elementary school. It was so awesome.
Oh, I know.
So
Milk
fun.
money.
I want to like go, like take a time machine and go back to elementary school and be like,
life was so
suck
simple.
up every second of this time because
like,
in 30 whatever years you're going to be like sitting and like waxing and waning on in a podcast, and you don't know what that is yet, but you will. About like how awesome it was to be in elementary school.
Yes. And also I wrote down another nostalgic thing. Remember notes? Like when you went somewhere, you would leave your parents like a note when you left. So they're seeing this where he's like, Dad, like went to dance, Frank, and like, remember that? We would like leave a note. We'd be like, dear Mom and Dad, like went out with whatever, went to the store. Mm-hmm. So funny. And then like, or like our parents would leave the note and they'd be like, wash the dishes. And you'd be like, I didn't see it.
Oh God, that note
the note fell out the window. I don't know what happened. Oh no. Now they probably send a text message or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So times they are changing.
God, I wish.
But those are my other two things that I wrote down that I forgot about.
Those are awesome.
Thank you.
Really glad you contributed those.
Thanks.
Sick of talking.
Hey, we'll wrap it up then. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't really have. I don't think I have anything else.
Other than this is now Sweetie's favorite movie of all time.
That is not true, but I mean,
is it your favorite prostitute movie?
Well, I was gonna say, like, I almost wrote down when we started to watch this, like, what is your favorite prostitute movie? But then I couldn't really think of that many other than Pretty Woman. I'm trying to think of
there's
others.
I mean, there's movies that have prostitutes in them,
right? Which is different.
Like Taxi Driver.
That's what I thought too, but I've never seen that.
Oh, there's like a lot of horror movies about prostitutes.
I know if we like really sat down and thought about it,
I just can't
make that.
It's like
a fruitful conversation. But I mean, I agree with enough with the romancing of the prostitutes. Like, not a glamorous job. Nobody really wants to do it. And you make fucking shit money. I'm sorry. I hope like the girls now are making bank and it's worth it. But from this movie, like, this blows. And I would never do
killed
that.
all the time, and people think it's fine because no one cares about them, which is like sort of true and sad and awful.
I know. But hopefully Melanie Griffith, got her own ice cream store in this. What do you think she named the ice cream store? Do you think it was something like sexual?
2 scoops. Just a thought. Just throwing it out there. 2 scoops.
Something with like licks. Ladies' licks.
What?
Eve's apple.
Ooh.
Eve's
Scoop.
not
Scoop a doop. What was wrong with 2 scoops? I think that's pretty
Is
funny.
that supposed to be boobs?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll say there's like the main joke I remember in this whole movie is like the
saying it.
flashlight one. If someone just said like the movie, if you had to do that, what's that like game show where it's just like one word? You only have one word to describe something. Is that something? Password?
I guess.
Something. There's like an old game show where you have like one word to describe something and you had to like, or $25,000 pyramid, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. So if someone was like, describe the milk, or in a phrase, the movie Milk Money, and I would say, looks like a boob, because there's this part where the guys are like in a sleepover in the very beginning in the treehouse, and they have this flashlight, and they're like shining on the roof, and it looks like a boob. It's like the light, so it's like a big circle of white with like a little shadow in the middle, right? It looks like a nipple, right? So then Melanie Griffith is also in the treehouse with the flashlight, like a couple scenes later. And she just puts the flashlight and it shines on the ceiling, and she was like, looks like a boob.
It did look like a boob.
I know.
I always think that about like light fixtures. Like I'm always like, oh look, see that one looks like a boob too.
Why do they all
It's a
look like boobs?
We'll take a picture and we'll show it to you.
Women rule the world. Bring the light.
Boobs everywhere. It's crazy.
Anyways,
we're gonna
stop talking about it now.
Flick. So yes, happy announcement though. Today we hit 1,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you. We did it.
Woo, woo.
We're big guys. Like half of them might be robots, but I'm like, whatever. I'm still excited about it. Also, we've had quite a few nice shout outs and other podcasts. We'd like to mention one that we were really excited about. The This Was Rad podcast. This was rad! ! Rad. Which is kind of what we do essentially, which is watch movies from the 80s. But this has a different spin on it. So it's done by 2 guys named Paul and Greg. And what makes it different is that they force, I assume, Paul's teenage daughter to watch the movies with them. So they get that new kid perspective on it, which is something that we always wonder as we're watching these movies, because we know that we like them, but I don't know how kids today would view the movies. So it's very interesting. So highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Check it out.
This is rad.
This was rad! !
Check it
Podcast.
It's rad. It's rad.
And just, what we say every fucking time. Sorry, I didn't mean to get crass. I'm just getting impatient because I just want to make it, you guys. I want to make it out there. But please leave us a review on iTunes if you have not. We're getting there. I think we got 19 now, so we're almost at 20. We're in the big leagues. We're getting there. But yeah, review us and rate us on iTunes. That'd be so great. Also, join our followers that we've now hit 1,000. You can be 1,026 or whatever we're at now.
Throw another party when we hit 2,000.
Oh, shit. But yeah, find us there at the Sweetie Club. Also, join our new Instagram page at Large Marge Sent Us, run by this sweetie over here. We're doing some good photo collages.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We're going to be doing a special Super Bowl special edition because we do not watch football.
Yeah,
even though we are from New England, go Patriots, but we actually don't like football, so sorry. Sucks. So we're going to be doing a special bonus ep about Little Giants. Everyone's favorite Pee-wee football film.
Yeah.
Starring also everyone's favorite person in the entire world, Rick Moranis.
I love it so much. I love that movie.
So looking forward to that on Sunday.
Yep. But other than that, I guess that's it. Thank you always to our dear friend Deidre Cullen, who sings our theme song. We'll soon release a music video about that with that song, so it's really good. Also, huge thanks and love to Frankie Donlon, who designed our logo. We love you. And just thanks for listening, as always. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.